Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with Scott, Tripp, and myself, Vibin. As we interview today, we're going to be interviewing EverRise, and we have two people from the EverRise team today. It's going to be Jenn and TJ from EverRise. But before we get started, we're going to let the panel introduce themselves, and we'll start with my partner, Scott. Let him go ahead and introduce himself and some of the things he do over here at BigONE, and then we'll jump right over to Jenn and then TJ.
Yeah, for sure. So Scott Tripp, of course, marketing lead for North America for BigONE. Happy to be here. I handle all the socials and stuff for them. So yeah, and happy to see Jenn and TJ. This is going to be exciting. So I'll let them introduce themselves now too.
Nice. I'm Jenn. I'm the director of marketing over here at EverRise, also the CMO. So we go back and forth between director and C-level titles, but mostly I handle a lot of our strategic partnerships, external outreach, messaging, etc. TJ, you want to take it from here?
Yes, sure, Jen. I am TJ. I'm the Chief Communication Officer at EverRise. I am front and center with our community at all times. I deal with social media, messaging. I do a little bit of business development as well, assist with that team, and kind of a all over the place gentleman, if you will.
Nothing wrong with that. So today we wanted to bring EverRise on. We wanted to talk about some of the things that they have recently brought onto their protocol. Some interesting features regarding their NFTs and an NFT line that they have recently. This is going to be their second collection, I think. But we want to dive into that as well as some of the things that they're doing potentially in this bear market, or the crypto winter, as we like to call it, that add sustainability to the project and talk about some of the things they're looking to build in this downtime as well. So without no particular order, I wanted to talk about the last thing that you guys recently launched as far as your NFTs and the staking NFTs. Get into that a little bit. Tell me, how has it been since you guys have launched it, and is the community receptive to it well?
Yeah, I think in order to kind of like understand our NFT strategy, like I kind of want to zoom out a little bit and talk about when we upgraded to our V3 smart contract in general, right?
Okay.
So EverRise is really the company itself. We'd like to think of ourselves as a Web3 platform that's building security and infrastructure tools. And so a big part of that is being multi-chain. I think everything within this space is needing to move towards a multi-chain approach, because the reality is DeFi is so much bigger than just one blockchain. And so we're starting to see an increase of projects exist on multiple chains, right? So when we migrated over to our V3 smart contract, our contract was already set up as a multi-chain like smart contract, because we had been on, I think at that point in time, 3 different blockchains, which was BNB, Ethereum, and Polygon, and we expanded into Avalanche and Phantom. But when we migrated to our V3 smart contract, we also completely revamped our staking protocol. And so now when folks stake Rise, they actually receive an on-chain NFT that's tethered to their stake Rise. And that NFT is reflective of how much Rise is being staked, and it comes with a slew of features. So like Vibin, let's say I transferred one of my NFT stakes to you. What would happen is you would receive the on-chain NFT along with my staked Rise. So if I sent that to your wallet, then all of a sudden you would be staking Rise and able to receive rewards from that. And then what we did was we built a system on top of that where, we introduced achievement NFTs, migration NFTs, just like little mementos for the community as they go through the EverRise journey for them to have. And so we started to really think about like, okay, what does the NFT space look like? What are the needs and problems that we're seeing within the NFT space? And the biggest thing that came to mind as we were exploring this concept and this idea was the OpenSea exploit that happened. God, I think that was a couple months ago now. Basically where within OpenSea, you were allowing a signature approval for an NFT, and some folks were moving NFTs out of that wallet and then transferring it back in. And basically there was an exploit where hackers were able to take advantage of this signature approval and basically siphon people's NFTs via OpenSea. And so at that point in time, everyone was like, okay, you need to revoke the signature approvals. You need to like go and use Etherscan or use revoke cache and do it. But the issue that we found with that was a lot of the times, like either Etherscan was fully crashing or revoke cache was crashing and we weren't able to connect wallets. Also, we found when we were going to some of these sites and pulling up the list of approvals, there just wasn't really enough information there to make sense of what was actually sitting in your wallet. Like, I think so often in this space, especially for like high frequency DeFi traders, they're connecting their wallet to everything and anything, which definitely has a lot of pros and cons. I don't recommend it. I recommend always being very cautious about what you connect your wallet to. But there just wasn't enough information there, even for me as someone who's like pretty on top of like what I connect my wallet to, of like, wait, what token is this? What NFT is this? When did this happen? So we wanted to basically create a simple tool that would give everyone all the information that they need to make informed decisions about what signature approvals should they keep open and which ones should they revoke. And that's really what led us to create EverRevoke. And TJ, I think like a lot of that came from you and your background within the NFT space itself. And you definitely were like, there's a massive need for a better tool to exist out here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to talk down other tools that are similar to EverRevoke, but what I will say is I have found myself on more instances than one running into problems where I need to quickly revoke signatures because there's an exploit going around, or I connected my wallet to this months ago, completely forgot about it, and now I'm seeing reports surface that this smart contract has been compromised. So I found myself going to revoke websites, very often, and half the time they're down, half the time they're not clear enough, and there needed to be something better. So we created that, and I would definitely recommend, whether you are an EverRise investor or not, use EverRevoke every single day. Revoke any signature that you have created or that you've given to the blockchain to perform any action, whether that's sell an NFT, sell some tokens, approve a spend amount. A lot of the approvals as well, this is something that needs to bring to light, is if you're on Uniswap, for example, and you want to buy $1,000 worth of Ethereum, well, what you're actually doing is you are giving Uniswap unlimited access to your USDT. So if you have only 1,000 USDT in your wallet, you've spent it, it's done, you forgot about it, right? However, Uniswap still has access to that USDT. So if you put another 1,000 in, or you put 10,000 in, that platform has unlimited access to your funds. So it's very important to revoke that when you're done. Now, I'm not saying Uniswap is the culprit here. I'm just saying in general, if you connect your wallet anywhere, usually it's unlimited allowances, which is a big red flag. EverRevoke tells you what the allowance is that you've enabled, and you can easily cancel it. But just like take high level overview is something that is so important in this space, because there is no DeFi support that you can call if you get hacked. You can't call MetaMask, hey, someone stole my $100,000 NFT. Can you get it back from me? You can't do that.
Yeah.
Usually people only talk about safety and security when something awful happens to them, but it's too late. So it's important to protect yourself well in advance and take advantage of these tools, so that not if another exploit comes up, when, because they're constantly popping up. The space is so new. Smart contracts are constantly getting exploited in various ways that we don't even know yet. It's important to protect yourself. Have no signature approvals. That's my personal advice. And then if you do need to, spend your USDT again, for example, just re-sign. It's that easy.
Yeah. And what's really cool about EverRevoke is it is a free to use tool. You just have to pay the gas to revoke the signatures. And to TJ's point, when we think about like what are the daily habits we should get into when we're in the DeFi space, and I know for a lot of people, they wake up, they look at charts, they look at chats. Like at the end of the day, if you've connected your wallet to one site or multiple sites, you should look at revoking those approvals if you don't need to leave it overnight. And more often than not, you can just revoke it because there really is no need for you to keep it open. So that's really, really exciting. I think the reception from the community has been incredible so far. We've brought on a couple of partners that have also said, like, this is a great tool. This is the tool that we're pushing out to our community to utilize. God forbid an exploit happens, and we're just going to try to make this best practice and common practice. Kind of like, you wake up every morning, you brush your teeth, you go to bed. Right before you go to bed, you brush your teeth. It's like the same thing with checking what's in your wallet and revoking the signature approvals.
One thing I really love about the team, though, and to hear you guys talk about it, is like you guys love building tools that you actually need, right? And it's like a lot of people build tools, a lot of people build protocols, and they don't know why they're building them, right? And you guys actually take the, like TJ was saying, like, well, I was trying to do this and then it wasn't working out in my favor. And that's a true builder. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to argue about what they're doing. I'm just going to build something that I think is a little bit better, right? And that usability is what, you know, we need as far as like pushing a mass adoption, because right now, all too many times we have all these protocols building things that no one uses, right? Like, and it's like, if nobody's going to use it, cool tool, bro. Like put it back in the box, you know. But I like what you guys do. That's one of the things that really I took to it EverRise. So like when I, you know, in the beginning, like I seen you guys put out, you know, EverWallet, EverOwn, you know, EverSwap, you know, you got the locker, you know, it's like all these different tools. And it's like, you know, they're actually building these really cool tools. So I want to know, like, outside of that, what are you guys looking at as far as building? Do you guys like do you go like item by item, or is it like a roadmap you guys are following right now? And are you guys just introducing tools as you feel fit, as they come about?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think what's really interesting about how EverRise is set up is that we have such a strong community, right? Already just built in within our ecosystem, which is something we're incredibly grateful for. And if you look at the ways that we've historically released our tools, typically we release them to our community first. It becomes a tool that EverRise leverages and utilizes first. And the reason for that is because we're looking in the space and we're just seeing significant infrastructure problems. So instead of just being like, oh, this is what's available to me, we have to build utilizing this. It's like, no, we can build something else from the ground up that does it in a way that we feel is more efficient, more secure, and more effective. And so when I think about our roadmap and kind of just how Suresh and the rest of the development team, how they approach with their development philosophy, it's more of we have, I think at this point, we have about 4 more DApps in the pipeline that the dev team is working on. But as they're seeing problems and recognizing problems within this space and thinking about solutions, if we feel confident enough that we can come up or create a better solution, it just gets added into the roadmap. And then when that time comes and we release the tool first for the EverRise community, we do some testing with our community beyond the internal testing we do. And once Suresh feels like the tool is ready and it's good and he's satisfied with it, that's when we make it available to the wider market. And, you know, I think you touched upon something earlier about like, you know, we're building tool after tool. And I'll reiterate this point again, but it's like the common thread running through all of the tools that we have built, it's that we've seen the need for it. Like when you look at EverBridge, like EverBridge is a cross-chain transfer mechanism. There are a ton of bridges out there, but we see massive security problems with the bridges that exist today that have mint and burn functions. So instead of utilizing that, we created a new way of going cross-chain, which leverages a lock and unlock mechanism. And I think, you know, that's just a testament to the brilliant minds at the EverRise development team.
Yeah, and it's amazing what you guys have come up with. Can you kind of go through some of the other tools that you have just so people know about them and what you guys kind of bring to the table?
Yeah,
absolutely. Jen, you want to take this or would you like me to?
Why don't you take it?
Got it. Okay. So we have a few tools available that have been deployed, all of which, may I mention, we've created, deployed, and gained adoption in under a year. We're turning 1 very soon, so very impressive, if I do say so myself. But our first flagship product was EverOwn. And what EverOwn is it is a smart contract locker. You can sort of see it as a solution to the centralization risk or a solution to contract renouncement. So renouncing your contract in DeFi is hands down the biggest mistake that you can possibly make. You're pretty much telling your community and yourselves that you don't plan on growing or establishing yourselves further than you are at launch day or whenever you do renounce. For those who don't know what renouncing is you send the contract to a dead address and you can no longer make changes to it. That is just not the way to do it. But it also, holding the contract in one single developer's wallet is also not the way to do it. You know, that wallet can get hacked and anything can be changed on the smart contract. There's tons and tons of reasons why that is also a bad solution. So what EverRise is it is a smart contract locker where you can actually go in, lock your smart contract behind your community's vote. So if you do want the smart contract back to make changes, which happen, let's say you need to whitelist an exchange, you need to whitelist a swap. You go onto EverRise, you log in as a developer, you initiate a vote. Your community votes based on their weighted holding of your token. If over 50% say yes, developers get their contract back, they can make the changes and lock it back up in EverRise. On top of that, it also locks newly generated liquidity, and it has a legacy provision. So God forbid something does happen to the original contract owner, there is a second owner that can take over after a certain amount of time. So the contract essentially will never fall into a pit of death, because there will be someone to claim it. And you're pretty much telling your community, I am giving you the smart contract. I am giving you the power, because the DeFi belongs to you. DeFi belongs to the people. It does not belong to a single, project lead. That is not what decentralized finance is. So it essentially creates somewhat of a DAO for your project. That is EverRise. Jen did touch on EverBridge. We have EverSwap as well, which is a swap that utilizes the liquidity on other dexes. So PancakeSwap, Uniswap, you name it, we're on 5 chains. So Avalanche, BNB, Phantom, Polygon, and Ethereum. Sorry. So I always do that list in different orders and I forget sometimes. And what it does is essentially there is no swap and liquefy. So a lot of DeFi projects have a provision in the contract where when you buy, a certain amount of tokens are collected in a wallet, which will then be sold on the open market in order for that BNB, for example, to be sent to a marketing wallet or be sent for, there's many reasons why you would need a swap and liquefy function, but EverSwap actually takes the taxes before the transaction takes place in native coin. So you will not see any sell pressure on your chart. So any project utilizing EverSwap will see a benefit on their chart. For example, a project called Volt launched a V2 with us, and the majority of the transactions were happening on EverSwap. And you could literally look at the chart and see that there was really no sell pressure because all the transactions were coming through EverSwap. So Volt was getting either BNB or Ethereum sent directly to their wallet. They were not needing to sell it on the open market in order to acquire that BNB or Ethereum, which is huge. It's so needed. I tell every project, there is no reason that you should be pushing any other DEX other than EverSwap now that you are on here, because it literally hinders your growth, and EverSwap helps that. So that's kind of a high level overview on EverSwap. Jen obviously mentioned the NFT staking lab. We also have EverMigrate, which is a tool to migrate your smart contract. Very simply put, if you're going from a V1 to a V2, you can consolidate your tokens if you want to go 10,000 to 1, similar to what we did. Plenty of features that can be used there, mergers and acquisitions. Jen, if I'm missing anything, please let me know. I feel like I have been rambling on for a while.
No, you're crushing it. You're crushing it.
The thing is, there's just so much to say. I mean, this really just scratches the surface. We also have EverSale coming up, which is a launch pad. EverLock, which is a liquidity locker, which there actually is an MVP working already in EverOwn, and EverWallet, which is going to be a more secure DeFi wallet, significantly more secure. Typically, if your seed phrase gets compromised, that's it, you're done, you lose all your funds. With the EverWallet, if your seed phrase gets compromised, the hacker would need access to an additional password that you set on top of the slew of other security features. So high-level overview of the EverRise ecosystem right now, and of course, EverRevoke, which Jen spoke about, which is our newest decentralized application.
Woo. There you go. Hey, so I wanted to ask. I know you mentioned Volt. How many other projects are right now using some of the tools? I know a few of them myself, but I don't need those project names. But how many projects? Is there like somewhere that you guys have listed like the projects that are using the tools, or where you guys have TVL locked in at, or?
Yeah, so with regards to TVL, I will say we are a top-ranked DeFi service by TVL, and you can check DeFi Llama for that. We're number 1 on Phantom, like number 2 on BNB, Polygon, number 3 on Avalanche, and in the top 20 for Ethereum, which is really incredibly exciting for us because it just shows that there is so much market confidence in what we're building. But currently there's about 40 different project teams that are currently leveraging our tools, and many of them are onboarded into at least one or two D apps. So I think like the stats off the top of my head for EverOne, it's over 20 projects are listed on the EverOne platform. For EverBridge, it's about 5 projects that are utilizing EverBridge for the cross-chain mechanism. EverMigrate, I think, is sitting at either 6 or 7 projects that are actively utilizing it for their smart contract migrations, and about over 16 projects for EverSwap.
That's very good. That's very good. Another thing I wanted to touch on today was I know you mentioned something about a seed round, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the seed round and potentially what's coming from that.
Yeah, I mean, to be really honest with you, Vibin, we're not really releasing any details about it, so I can't really speak too much about it. But once the round is closed, everyone will be made aware of the information that they need to be made aware of.
But is it open right now for the public, or is it something for your, like, how do people get involved, or is...
You need to be an accredited investor.
There you go.
You need to either be.
So it just shows the seriousness of it. You know, like too many times we see people do a pink sale, and it's like, oh, I got 300 BNB, and it's like, okay, like you guys are obviously just going to try to pay for some marketing, right? But I like the fact that you, like you said, you guys are bringing on serious investors. It shows the community confidence in what you guys are trying to take on right now, because all too many times you see people take in these loans from, or not loans, but take in this capital from venture capitalists and do the wrong things, right? And I love the fact that you get excited and you're like, hey, look, that's the one. Like, I can't say nothing yet.
You can't say, sorry.
Very good on that. And I wish you guys success on that as well, because like I said, I know you guys are trying to build some really good things. And I love the fact that you guys have a lot of projects already using the tools. But right now that we were talking about the market cycle right now, and potentially us seeing a lot of things going, going down in the market. We've been here before. We know how this goes. What are you guys doing as far as like in your community to keep people's mindset a little bit more positive? Obviously, everybody's going to feel it, because being bridged to 5 chains, no matter what, if 5 chains are going down, hey, bring me with you, right? Like, so we know it, but like, how do you guys keep that positive vibes in the community?
Well, the beauty of it, Vibin, and I'll tell you, and I'm sure you can attest to this because you've been in attendance, is Monday to Friday, minus Tuesdays, which we host our team AMA. But we host the community spaces on Twitter every day at 2:00 Eastern. They typically go for around 2 hours. And it's just an area on Twitter, because we know Twitter is kind of toxic. Let's be honest. Crypto Twitter is not the best place in the world if you're looking for put a smile on your face.
Safe haven.
Safe haven. We don't just talk about crypto. We talk about anything. Anybody can come up. It's really is a safe place. You know, last week we were talking about crazy food combinations, and some have even become trends in our community. But I think this goes to, our investor confidence in EverRise is extremely high. 58.5% of our entire supply is staked for an average of over 23 months. That is, I think, pretty much unheard of in this space. And I think it speaks to the fact that we're extremely transparent, and we build. Regardless of market conditions, we build. Mm-hmm. You look at the projects that thrived this past bull run. They were all projects that were building in the last bear market, and it's important to continue to develop applications to further yourself in that, when we do see the bull run again, not financial advice, but I don't think that 2021 was the all-time high for cryptocurrency. I think there's no way. But a rising tide raises all ships. We got to keep building security apps, get that investor confidence to bring people from the centralized exchange world over to the decentralized world, because there are so many amazing protocols building incredible things that 90% of crypto investors on centralized exchanges, what I'm referencing here is 90% of investors are on centralized exchanges, 10% are on DeFi. That 90% have no idea that these tools and products are being built. So we just have to keep building. We're always in front of our community, letting them know that we are building, constant updates all the time. Obviously, we all wish the market was flying like it was, October, November, but it's not. But it doesn't mean we're going to sit back and not do anything. We're going to keep building regardless of market conditions, because we know how important these tools are. We know that these tools need to be here in order for this space to thrive. in order for the space to see adoption. And, you know, you look at our infrastructure and security and safety tools, I mean, they're top notch. I'm just going to say it because they are, and they are needed. And, you know, I think EverRise's ecosystem of dApps is going to make a lot of centralized exchange investors confident to move over to DeFi, you know, the scary world of rug pulls and honeypots and liquidity drains, because we literally provide the tools to mitigate those.
Yeah. And I think like another thing.
To have those tools.
Yeah. And like what I was just gonna like tack on to that, TJ, is I think like, you know, we can probably expect some pretty turbulent market conditions for at least the next year, if not at least 18 months. But with that comes like you're going to see the next class of builders, right? When it comes to protocols and companies emerge, because like those are going to be the only people who are going to be able to survive this. But at the same time, like it's funny, TJ and I have conversations all the time about how like crypto Twitter engagement across the board, not just for like our personal socials or EverRise socials, it's just down. So you're seeing that the space is already being like the saturation is starting to leave, and only the people who are like true believers or people who really want to learn and have a better understanding of like what exactly is Web3, what exactly is DeFi, like those are the people that are staying. And for those who stay, it's like we're putting out a bunch of resources in terms of education. Like we just released a blog post last week that was talking about the OpenSea and Badger DAO exploits and like digging into like how did these happen? Why did they happen? As a user, what learnings should you take away from this? And continuing to put out educational content like that, because like this is the time to build and it's the time to educate. Like I can't tell you how every time there's a bull run, everyone's like, oh gosh, I wish I was in this space like 2 years ago when something was like this cheap. And it's like, well, we're about to start the next cycle.
Welcome back to 2017. Welcome back to 2017.
It's like what for the companies during this time, like we're gonna see who the next builders are, but like for the DeFi users during this time, it's like we're gonna see who's going to stick around, do their research, take this time while the market has slowed down to either accumulate or to learn and get a really good understanding of what's happening. You know, the people who are coming in trying to like make a quick 100x, like they're not going to last. Like those are not long-term DeFi holders or users. So I think it's going to be, I don't mind bear markets. They don't scare me. I don't feel anything inside anymore.
I love them. It flushes out the week, right? Like that's the beauty of the bear market. It literally just flushes out the week. And that's why it's so important. That's why I asked you guys, you know, two major questions. What are you guys doing in the bear market and how do you keep your community involved, right? I know I can attest to this, the spaces and you guys talk about the weirdest stuff because I freaking sit here and eat watermelon with mustard on it now. And I've never done that. And none of my peers.
Wait, did you ate it?
I eat it all the time. Like it's so good. It's like really good. Like really, really good.
Oh
like,
my
really
God.
Good. Like I don't even put it on the slice no more. I'll slice it all my watermelon and put a lot of mustard in a bowl and just dip it. Like
look, TJ's so proud. He's like, I converted someone. Let's go.
I'm turning red.
It's really good, bro. I can attest, man. I slipped up in the space, heard it, tried it.
There you go. And had you not come into that space the day that the market was tanking, we found a way to kind of smile, and now you have a new favorite food.
Yeah, good stat.
Watermelon
Scott,
and mustard, folks.
Scott, I feel like I've been hogging the questions. You got another question for the team?
I'm just enjoying the conversation. I know Hakuna fell in love with mustard and watermelon too, I think. I've seen a couple of posts from him with some pictures of mustard and stuff. Personally, like, yeah, I haven't done it yet, but maybe I'll have to give it a go now. Vibin's done it, so.
It's okay, Scott. Like, we've had team members do it, like, while we've been, like, live on AMAs or at the end of our AMAs, and I just, like, watch in dismay. I'm like, why would you do I'm like, I can't
watch
watch.
Me do it. I'll be like,
you can't do it, eh? Jenn, you can't do it at all?
No, I am just not.
So good.
I'm not brave enough. Like I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to food, and I normally am like down to try a lot of things, but that's just one of the things that I'm like, do I have to? Like, if I don't have to, I'm not going to voluntarily do it.
It's not bad at all though, but that's one of the good things about hopping into spaces and then hearing the teams. It's almost like you almost become friends. This is actually the first time that I actually seen TJ. So to bring them on, have them listed on BigONE, and the funny thing about how you guys got listed for our community to know is that we had this unique feature. It was like, hey, your project gets you listed. You deposit X amount of tokens, we'll get you guys listed on there. And EverRise showed up. Their community showed up, made it happen. It's a little bit of work from BigONE, and here we are. Now we're all like, we can do these YouTube interviews and give you guys more content because I love the fact that this team is just set out to build. Don't worry about the market conditions. Just build, just build, just build, just build. And we talk about tool after tool after tool. Guess what the beauty is? The beauty of it is when it's time to use those tools, you already have them. You don't have to go back and build them. They're already there. Just pull them out of the box and just like, whoop, here you go. So I want to think
that sorry to interrupt real quick. All of these tools are built in-house from the ground up. We are not outsourcing developers. We're not hiring outside people to complete this work. These are ideas that we come up with and our team executes on and builds in, to me, which is mind-blowing amounts of time. Like, it just happens so quick. The development team at EverRise is just phenomenal.
Do you know what I like about this meeting is it's dropping some truth bombs for people that are going to be listening to this, because right now I think that's a major issue with projects is during this bear market, they're not doing what you guys are doing by building and doing what you're doing to your current ecosystem. Like, you're adding to the current ecosystem, but you're not adding something totally separate or different or whatever. And so often you see these projects that are starting up new tokens to go along with their old tokens and doing stuff. And it's really not the time to do stuff like that. It's really the time to do what you guys are doing and evolving what you currently have, because that's the way that you're going to survive in a market like this too as well. So
yeah,
I appreciate the information that you guys have bring. So
thank you. And if I recall correctly, TJ, I don't remember if you saw this tweet, but it was something that really resonated with me. But CZ put out a tweet, I think this was maybe a couple weeks ago, where he's like, if your project does not have a revenue source outside of like tokenomics and a tax, like, you need to change the way you're thinking about going about your project, because that's just not, I feel like, it's not a sustainable model to rely on people to come and purchase your token in order for you to like continue developing. Like, you have to build sustainable business structure around whatever your DeFi platform is. And like, that's just something that I think, like, as the space matures, as more builders come, as we see more Web 2 developers come to Web 3, that's going to be the new standard. That's going to be the type of maturity that's the type of maturity that this market really needs before it fully takes off. And I think that's how it's still early, right? Like,
definitely super early.
So,
but I had one little fun question. It's not about EverRise. I just wanted to ask both of you a personal question. What would be your I guess your I don't want to say your happiest day, but what would be a goal or something that would happen with DeFi in the NFT space that you guys would love to see on a mass scale, as far as bridging DeFi and the NFT space? Because we know that the NFT space lacks liquidity, and we know DeFi lacks a little bit of users right now. People aren't taking out loans traditionally as much right now. So in a perfect world, where do you guys see these two cross?
I would love to see NFTs become used to keep track of medical records. I'd love to see them be used for housing deeds, legal documents, because the power behind what a non-fungible token can do is so much more than a JPEG of a monkey, right? It's so much more than that, and we haven't even scratched the surface. So that happening will increase DeFi use and DeFi adoption, because you need to be in DeFi to access NFTs. So I think once we see, and obviously I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, but I do think it will happen, within the next decade, personally. But moving to a system where all these, legal documents are now stored on the blockchain because you cannot alter the blockchain. It is a ledger that is publicly available to anyone. So I think to see something like that happen to, a massive scale where it's become kind of the standard, that to me would be huge for the space.
Yeah.
I like that one. I always talk about that. Like they could just airdrop you your medical files or something,
Yeah.
something of that nature, or you have your driver license on chain. It would be so much easier. What about you, Jen?
I'm actually kind of like in the similar boat as TJ. I think like once we see more real world utility, and I know like utility I feel like it's a controversial word for some and it's a buzzword for others. It's like this weird thing. And like, listen, like holding an NFT, if you get access to dope parties or exclusive access to certain clubs, like that's a cool utility. I'm seeing a lot of like metaverse and play to earn games. Like as someone who enjoys video games myself, I'm like, that's a cool utility, but I think there's still so much development and maturity that still needs to happen in that space in particular, especially when it comes to good game design, right? Microsoft isn't spending millions and millions of dollars trying to develop these Call of Duty series for funsies. It's because like a lot of work and development goes into creating great games. And so like those two things aside, I think it's like, what does it look like for medical to come into this space? What does it look like for real estate to come into this space? And like these real world utilities that like, quite frankly, like we still need every single day and we need within our lives. And I think once we're able to kind of start to penetrate that barrier in a way that's sustainable, it's going to be a great day for this industry, and it's going to be a great day for anyone building within this industry. So yeah, that's what I would say. Cause like, I'll be very, very honest. I'm not super big into the NFTs. I think the only NFTs I have are the ones from EverRise.
Yeah. The funny thing is I asked that question because one thing I like me noticing, like just from my personal opinion, like I'm looking at DeFi now, and I look at DeFi and I look at, where it was and how many people were taking out loans and stuff like that. It started going down. So I'm like, DeFi right now is all the DeFi protocol are taking hits, right? So for me, I'm like, all right, well, NFTs are going up, but they lack liquidity, right? So if it was a way to bridge that gap a little bit better, right, and get it to intertwine, you could, like you said, a rising tide raises all ships. So both ships would essentially rise together and potentially take NFT market to a more liquid market. I feel like it's a little illiquid for me, and that's probably potentially why you don't play around. And a lot of people, it took me a long time to get into the NFT market because of how illiquid it was. So,
well,
but yeah, I love the points.
But like that's the thing about like NFTs, right? Because you get into it and it's like a lot of people don't realize that, majority of the NFTs that they're purchasing aren't actually on-chain NFTs. They're stored in an external server or they're stored through IPFS, which is fine. Like that's like a stepping stone for getting into the space. But the reality is like it's not taking full advantage of the infrastructure and the tech, in my opinion. Like that's why like when we made our NFT stakes and we said we're going to mint on-chain NFTs, like they're on-chain, it was a really fun time watching the design team have to figure out how the heck they were going to design it, because they had to make sure it stayed under a certain file size but still displayed all of the information. But it's like we linked those NFTs to staked Rise, so there's inherent value based off of the EverRise liquidity pools. So that way when people are going and listing their NFT stakes, they're not just like, oh, I want to sell this for 2 ETH, so I'm going to set my buy price at that or my sell price at that. But it's like, no, it's like, how much is staked? How much time is left? Oh, what are the potential residual rewards that I can earn from holding this NFT? And I think like seeing more thoughtfulness around that type of bridging of the two different sectors within this Web3 space is going to be really interesting, because I think it's just what we proved out was just like one potential use case for on-chain NFTs. And I'm excited to see how that evolves more, because I think that's the type of thinking and like critical thinking and innovation that we're going to need to get to the real world utility things. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable if my house deed that I was trying to sell was like uploaded or minted through an IPFS server. I'd feel like, is this even
like what? Like I own my house today, but not tomorrow.
Yeah,
somebody hacked my signature. Hold on,
I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a building in New York that was listed as an NFT for sale.
I've seen it.
For 15,000 Ethereum. So I think it was listed originally at 29 million, which then Ethereum came down, so the price went to 27 million. But like, that's pretty crazy, right?
Bro,
I don't know.
I was literally saying I want to see this. I want to see this happen more often, and I want to see this first one. I wanted to see how this one like get sold, right? I think that like that's pretty much like that's what the chain is for. That's what the blockchain is really used for. That technology.
Yeah, I think we're still. There's a long way to go before this. Before I think this is a reality. I even think this is a little premature because what happens if, for example, someone sent a 5,000 ETH offer and that wallet gets hacked and the offer is accepted, and then that NFT of the building is now sold? What do you do? So I think there is still a long way to go before.
I think there's security risks as well that haven't been really regulated as of yet, and I think there's going to be a lot of that happening in the future before I think we really see real estate thing, because I think the SEC would be pretty hard on real estate in the United States at the moment. But
yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, in order for us to see these real world utilities, like we're going to need some sort of signal from government agency. Like that needs to be more clear of like what their stance is on it. I feel like everything's still such a gray area. Because it's like, let's say I bought a house in Sweden as an NFT and the deed gets like transferred over to me. If the government of Sweden doesn't recognize that as a legitimate transfer, then like I'm SOL. And so
then you bought a JPEG of a house for $1 million.
Yeah. And then,
you're SOL and you're not Solana.
I'm not Solana.
Well,
when I shut it off and then turn it back
like,
on,
SOL, right? So I got Solana for the house. Like, no, shit out of that.
No, it's crypto that now you're SOL and you think Solana.
It's like, I
won't go down that road today.
Tell me you're in crypto without telling me you're in crypto.
Yeah.
Like,
but to get back on topic, guys, I love the fact, like I said, you guys are building these tools and you guys talking about building through this market. That was why we wanted to bring you guys on today. Talk about some of the new features that you guys are bringing on. Talk about the new tools that you guys are building out, and just how you guys are planning on moving throughout these market conditions. And the mission forward is always the same: keep building and keep rising, right? So without anything else to say on my behalf, I want to give you guys at least 30 seconds each to have something in closing, and then we can wrap it up for the day, and everybody can have a good weekend.
Love it.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies first. Oh man, all the pressure's on
Look,
me.
TJ's my type of guy. We said it at the same time. Jinx, like
we're on the same wavelength today, man.
It's all good. I'm just
That's
gonna
why
like
they call me
run. I'll just run down the clock. I think like the only thing I really have to say is if you're watching this video, that means you're probably here while market conditions are pretty turbulent. But don't let that discourage you. I think the whole point of decentralized finance is, one, it gives us a path to financial freedom. It lets us take control of our financial products. And with that comes great responsibility that we all now carry as individuals. And so I would encourage you during this time to do more research. If you're planning on like being a long-term investor or holder in this space, like look into all the different protocols, all the different like layer 1s, layer 2s. What's the difference between a layer 1 and layer 2? And like really get comfortable, because it's going to be a fun ride if you can stick it out, as I think a lot of us will be, fingers crossed. So that's all I'll say. Keep educating yourself, keep doing research, and for all the builders out there, keep building. I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's going to be a defining moment of not only like this generation of people that are in crypto, but this generation within this industry. As a whole,
Well said. I really don't have much to add to that, to be honest. I mean, as Jen said, if you are watching this video, you are likely here in these turbulent market conditions, but you are here because you believe in the infrastructure let me restart that. You believe in the infrastructure that is blockchain technology. You see the future for it. You're here in these rough times for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So take a step back. Zoom out. It's a very popular saying. Zoom out. My personal advice is don't stare day to day at the charts, because it really won't do anything for you. find things you believe in, find things that are going to change the space, increase adoption, and bring new people to DeFi. Now, obviously, we're on BigONE's YouTube channel, which is a centralized exchange, but a lot of the great tools that are on BigONE started off as DeFi projects. So always do your own research when it comes to DeFi projects. Be very careful, do your due diligence. If something sounds too good to be true in this space, most likely is. And just be extra careful and do your own research at all times. And we'll see you on the upside of this, because
and no one will ask you for your seed phrase ever. So ever.
What's the seed phrase?
I don't know. I think it's like 12, 24 words.
Down in this book right here.
I got a dictionary here if you guys need to borrow one. But Scott, I'll let you get some words in closing for the team, and then we'll wrap it up for the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so much the team, but the people listening. Just give yourself a woo-saw, calm yourself. It'll all pass with time. Just be ready for it when it comes back. That's all I can say. I know it's not perfect for everyone, but we're all here in support of you. And I think the most important part is to have a strong crypto community like EverRise has or BigONE has, and to work together and work through this all. So let's continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, man. You got to look at this like summer school, man. You don't want to go, but you got to go. Like it's a great time. What Jen said was perfect. It's a great time to educate yourself. Hearing them talk about their tools, I encourage everybody to dig into EverRise. Look at the tools that they're building. And if you find something that's not there that you wanted to be there, interact with the community. You see they're wide open here. And they build tools from within the community. So perfect protocol to look into right now. It's a bear market. You got time. There's no hurry at all, guys. So like I said, I want to thank TJ today. I want to thank Jen for coming by, hanging out. Scott, I always appreciate you being here with me, brother. And other than that, guys, we'll wrap it up for the day. Until next time, peace out.
Peace.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, everybody.